Carl Fogarty. Now how juicy would that be? Now it's the Sidecar World Championship led by Brits Webster and Woodhead. Let's go back to Donington.
Welcome to Donington Park for the World Sidecar Cup Round 3. They've been to South Africa, to Kyalami. They've been to Australia, to Phillip Island. Now they're here in far better weather altogether in Great Britain at Donington Park. And the men who are leading the World Championship, Steve Webster and his new sidekick Paul Woodhead in the team Steinhausen Racing Suzuki, are on pole position. And remember, it's an arrowhead formation pole position. So these guys, Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Harney, second in the championship last year, second in qualifying, have to be behind that Olympia recent Steinhausen Racing Suzuki. And that's Webster and Woodhead, who have a clear view of the track in front of them down to Redgate. They won in Australia, they were second in South Africa. They won in Australia after some extremely dodgy tactics by an outbreaking manoeuvre on sheer marbles that sent them skittling into the side of Klappenbach in the Honda turn, the hairpin turn on the last lap. And Klappenbach almost upended, lost his passenger Adolf Harney, as you may very vividly remember. And that's the number 21 Honda Britain outfit of Molyneux and Hill, former TT winners, who've so far not had much success here on the World Championship scene. They've yet to open their scoring. Perhaps today will change everything for those axle-clad blue and white boys. So that's the number 21 outfit. We'll be keeping an eye out for David Molyneux and Peter Hill on the Molyneux Racing Honda. Alongside him on the third row of the grid, the number 17 machine of Benny Janssen and Trevor Hopkinson, the Janssen Racing BRM Dutch racer, the former World Motor Sidecar Cross champion way back in 1990. With his new passenger Trevor Hopkinson, he lost his original Dutch passenger last year. They'd had a long and illustrious career together, but both on dirt and on the road. But a nasty accident at Albacete meant that we waved bye-bye to the original passenger there. We've also got welcoming number 3, Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs on the Grebensek Racing Yamaha. They, of course, haven't been with us so far. They didn't make the long, expensive trip to South Africa and to Australia. This is the number 6 outfit of Stuart Muldoon, and Chris Gussman, the Clark Grand Prix Racing ADM. And the Scottish outfit will be looking to make some sort of impression here at Donington Park. It's as near as they get to home territory. We don't go much further north than this. I'm Jack Bernicle. I've got with me, alongside me, I've got a man who very bravely went on 4 or 5 laps round Donington Park yesterday on Friday with Steve Webster. Now, this is true, isn't it, Rob? Because I didn't see it for real. I've got to believe it, and I think I know that it's true because you looked incredibly wide-eyed and exhilarated when you reappeared on Friday evening. So tell me about it. What was it like?
Well, we spoke about it almost jokingly at Phillip Island. Steve Webster came up to me and said, I know you've got a poorly left knee, but that's no excuse that you won't come out and be passenger with me for a handful of laps when we get to Donington Park. But sure enough, I showed up on Friday evening after regular on-track work had been done, and got permission from SBK and the management here at Donington Park. And about 6:05, I nervously climbed aboard the outfit there, and was able to just do a warming up lap. I thought we were going quite quickly then, but Steve Webster had said to me, Rob, every corner we go around, just stick your thumb up if you're happy and I'll go a bit quicker. And that's what I did. As the thumb was up, go a bit quicker, and we reached about 3/4 of race speed, even though it was drizzling a little bit. But it's quite literally one of the most exciting and exhilarating experiences I've ever had, next to doing some free-fall parachuting a few years ago. Now, I can't stay away from these reckless things, but joking apart, it's given me a first-hand experience of just what you've got to do, what you've got to be able to cope with out there on track. The gripping points on these enormously powerful 1200cc Suzuki outfits. The main anchor point is just with your left hand in the middle of the part of the passenger compartment, and I was given good advice by Steve Webster. He said, and Paul Woodhead said, do not let go of that, whatever you do. Whether it's a left-hander or a right-hander or braking for the straights, hang on to that centre section, which I did, a real white-knuckle ride. And I made some ginger efforts at changing position for the left-handers and right-handers around Donington Park. But by far the most exhilarating sensation was the braking points for the Fogarty S's. Braking into there, you're kneeling on the sidecar section of the outfit, and my legs were about 2 inches floating. It's almost like being in free fall, I remember from my parachuting experience, and I was thinking to myself, what else can I hang on to keep me in this unit? And then accelerating and braking for Redgate, and the most exhilarating sideways forces is the downhill section, the old hairpin at the bottom part of Donington Park. That sideways force as we're going through that right-hander. Steve hardly backed off the throttle at all, even though there was a little bit of drizzle, and I was hanging on for grim life, but the experience was unforgettable. Paul Woodhead and all the sidecar passengers, you are superhuman and super fit. I want to do it again in the warm. Please, can I do it in Monza?
Well, we'll have to see if we can get you aboard in Monza, but what I want you to do is, when we get the race underway, you can take us around a lap from the passenger's point of view, Rob. I think that will be great fun. And here we are, watching the guys ever so gently. Remember that they don't have such things as tyre warmers in sidecars, so they roll round here in this beautiful, steamy, sunny spring afternoon stroke evening as gently as possible, so as to give those tyres plenty of time to warm up, get themselves adjusted, because in fact the first guy out in Superpole yesterday promptly spun it as soon as he got out there. I can't remember who that might have even been. I don't think it was Paul Muldoon. No, I think it was the number 20 outfit of Hansen and Soers, the Hansen Racing Suzuki. They only got through the first 2 turns and then spun it, so you've got to be pretty careful to warm up the tyres well and truly on these vicious outfits. This is Donington Park, beautiful spring evening sunshine, and this is round 3 of the World Sidecar Cup. 20 points for Webster and Woodhead at Kyalami in South Africa, 25 points for a victory. Steve Webster, nice man off the track, turning into Steve Webster monster on it when he munched Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Hani and knocked Hani out of the chair in Australia. That meant that Hani and Klappenbach, recovering to salvage 11 points in Australia, are now level with the Steinhausen-Partzer outfit for 3rd place in the championship on 36 points. That's 9 points behind Webster Woodhead. Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead are on pole position in the arrowhead formation as they drop the clutch and howl off the starting grid, and Klaus Klappenbach gets eaten up and surrounded. Not a good takeoff at all for last year's number 2. He tries to find a way back up the inside of Redgate but can't, and I think he's certainly lost out big time, because Steve Webster is the man who's powered through to the front. He had that advantage, of course, of that wonderful arrowhead formation start, which is very nice for the man in pole position, which he secured with a 1:38.045 lap ahead of Klappenbach and Hani, 1:38.333, and Steinhausen and Christian Partzer on 1:39.512. And look at the outfits hammering down the hill now towards the old hairpin. Oh, using all the track and more. At the front, we got that outfit of Webster and Woodhead, and they are the guys who are leading the World Championship at the moment. So the man who's got that terrible start from the Clark Grand Prix outfit of Paul Muldoon and Chris Gussman, they are way downfield on outfit number 6, but look at the lead that Webster's pulling out already. The number 3 outfit of Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs, welcome back boys, on the Yamaha, in the frame as they come howling down the hill. In fact, they're in 2nd place. They're suddenly up into 2nd place, and Klaus Klappenbach's tried to follow them through. Whoa, one of them's gone straight on there. It might have been the Molyneux Hill outfit, I'm not sure, but someone went straight on at the Fogarty S's, not the way that they wanted to go, nor the way they intended to go. Here's Klappenbach, he's through on the inside, and he's pursuing Steve Webster. Now he's got a clear track in front of him. Can the Austrian-Swiss combination make, on the OMK outfit, make any inroads? And number 8, the guys Steinhausen, York Steinhausen, son of team boss Rolf, and Christian Partzer are in 4th place. Webster clear track ahead of him. Stevie Abbott, number 3, back into World Championship competition at last. And number 20, the outfit of Hansen and Soers, that made a very, very bright start, but is struggling to maintain the pace right now. And I'm just wondering if it was Dave Molyneux, who did go straight on. I don't like to be so unkindly accurate, but he's back in 20th place. So I think that Dave Molyneux, that number 21 outfit of Dave Molyneux and Peter Hill, the Molyneux Racing Honda Britain machine, just might have overcooked it. And he's just never going to score any points in this World Championship Series until he gets it together now.
What happened? Dave Molyneux raised his hand as they came out of Coppice on the almost at the end of that, well, halfway around that first lap, and coasted down the back straight and pulled off the track just before the fog of the S's there. So they were pulling off out of the way. But I'm so impressed with Steve Abbott there on the largely green outfit there with a 1000 Yamaha engine in it, but that's just been summarily dismissed back to 4th place by Jörg Steinhausen.
And that's why the Clark Grand Prix outfit was downfield. They had some problem, Rob. They've had to dive into pit lane, and out they go again, but they'll be nearly a lap down. So a lousy start there to the guys who are presently 10th in the championship, Muldoon and Gusman.
Steve Abbott, I was just talking about him and Jamie Biggs with that dramatic result last year, about this time last year, with their first ever victory in a Sidecar World Cup Championship race. And Steve Abbott, the 1000cc Yamaha engine, talking to him after the regular sessions of qualifying, they've got the engine about 85%, but the number 7 outfit there, good old duct tape there, the bodywork's been broken, and so they're just doing a quick pit lane repair job on that, and back out the grey pointer outfit, the ADM 2-stroke outfit, back out on track again. But that engine on the 33 outfit has well and truly launched itself, smoked like that. Well, they're not going to restart the race, better to get out. And the Stafford Cox Suzuki GSXR engine is on fire. We need some fire extinguishers, please. Get the fire department over there. That is
Stafford and Cox pleading with someone to come and put it out.
That is, I think, at Redgate, braking for Redgate corner, but it doesn't matter where it is. That bodywork is going to be getting very, very hot, and they've sprayed that fire extinguisher just about everywhere else. That's it, gets them in the engine there just for good measure. But a very expensive situation happening there, but I'm glad the trackside marshals eventually put the fire out anyway. But Jörg Steinhausen managed to get by, and he is now in 3rd place. And Steve Abbott, Jamie Biggs, temporarily demoted back to 4th place.
This is the Molyneux Hill outfit. They have brought it into the pits, and they've got some problem with that Honda engine. And so there's an early casualty rate here. There's a red flag out. We have the oil flag. We have a red flag. So that is obviously at the entrance to Redgate. There's been a lot of oil pumped onto the circuit there as they came down the straight. So we're going to have to go through it all again. Now this raises an interesting point. Does the guy who... Do the guys have to have been in the race at that point to restart it? We've had this one before, and I can never be sure. Does it mean that Molyneux and Hill get a second bite at the cherry, for example?
I suspect it will. The replay here of the red flag situation. Yeah, there's where the motor blows, and that is just depositing all the engine lubricant on the track, exactly on the braking point.
And a very smart Marshall top left straight out with the red and yellow flag there. Yeah. Make sure you avoid this, boys.
Now, that race was stopped on the same lap as the drama had unfolded. So technically speaking, if they could go back out and track people who dropped out of the race so far. I think with it being just lap 3 of 23, the race is very likely to be restarted right from scratch. So there won't be, I suspect, any aggregate
Dave Molyneux and Pete Hill are frantically trying to get their bike sorted out, their machine sorted out. They obviously would like to go again. A red flag on the first attempt at running the World Sidecar Cup here at Donington Park. There's the red flag being worn in a rather comely fashion over the left shoulder, a slightly off the shoulder number for our Carnell orange-clad Marshall. And this is the machine, and there we are. There's a little call there, a television call for Jimmy Aird, Scott Leathers up at Barnard Castle. A beautiful little Scott cladding there for the number 33, the number 33 outfit of Stafford and Cox, but they've been hoping to be seen on the television in a slightly different way than having their stricken outfit covered with fire extinguishing powder hoisted up by a passing crane. So they'll be taken off. And look at this is where that wonderful old stuff, concrete dust, comes into play, and they start sweeping frantically up And that's very neat. It's they're obviously road menders by profession when they're not doing that. It's a very neat little machine they've got, spreading the concrete dust, and followed by a good old-fashioned brush. It's amazing, isn't it, that the wizardries of the 21st century haven't found anything better to do with oil droppings than a bit of concrete dust.
Well, what that is normally used for, it's normally used in conjunction with your Fison's grow bag. You actually put fertiliser in there. That's why the grass around Donington Park looks so healthy. Normally used for depositing fertiliser around there, but then they empty out all the fertiliser. And I know the sidecars occasionally have an engine blow up and will need to do just exactly what we're seeing now. Well versed in this duty of the cement dust being put down, and then good old-fashioned brushing it, scraping it into the engine lubricant. Not necessarily always oil, although I do think, judging by the amount of smoke billowing out of the back end of the 33 outfit, that's probably what happened. One of the Conrads has come out to sunbathe in the Donington sunshine, but the cement dust, scrub that into the floor. That's it. Put a little bit of extra on there. And then, unfortunately, the sidecars, when they go back out on track for the first few laps, will have to have the squeegee effect to scrub off all that cement dust there. A member of the SBK team going out on track there saying, thank goodness we haven't got any solo races after the sidecar race, because that too is the breaking point for very, very fast and powerful super sport and superbike machines. But that will very quickly, the cement dust that is, will very quickly soak up any additional oil and corruption from out of the engine. The outfit pulled off as quickly as it could, so no real blame can be apportioned to anybody, and the circuit on the braking point there will clean up quite quickly in this good weather conditions, and the race will be restarted. Perhaps we'll have something like a 10 or 15 minute delay and be back out on track with only lap 3 of 23. That's when that's
it was only lap 3 of 23, and there were only 10 guys left on the same lap. 10 outfits left on the same lap, 20 gentlemen altogether, always supposing no one had fallen out of a sidecar. So perhaps fate was smiling kindly on the sidecars here, because really to only have 10 guys going out of a starting grid of, and here I have to laboriously count back down the grid, I'm not sure how many people were in there, perhaps about 21. So to have them reduced to 10 after 3 laps, even by sidecar standards, isn't too good, because people like Ian Guy, Mick Boddice Jr. Was in there a lap down. Gal Ross, Lichty, the Flurries from New Zealand, Phillips who's got yet another passenger. He's been through Gary Partridge after Ruth Laidlaw got injured, and Ruth incidentally is making a very fine recovery. She got injured, broke her leg at Kyalami, and on that Slipstream Honda outfit, the Fireblade engined outfit, when they crashed, they sort of flipped rather horribly and she got thrown into the tyres. But she's determined to be riding again. She's mending well. And at the moment we have yet another substitute passenger for Phillips, Guy Lowe, who's joined up for the next 2 rounds of the Sidecar World Cup. And apparently Ruth's had a lot of laser treatment and physio on her broken leg. She's made remarkable progress, although she's still on crutches and wearing a leg brace. She reckons she'll be fit to race at Hockenheim in June. Well, that's very good. There's the Ian Guy, Andy Peach clan. Wondering what's going to well, I hope they'll be allowed back in the race. Yes, they were in the race because they pulled in, didn't they? And then they pulled back out of the pit lane, virtually a lap down. So they should be all right for the restart.
Well, they've been having lots of luck, all of it bad this particular season, because we last remember Ian Guy and Andy Peach with the outfit turning over in Kyalami, South Africa, and so that pretty much did a power of no good to their outfit, and it came back to the UK in a very smashed condition, and the outfit actually returned from Australia later than scheduled.
And they've obviously been losing water out of it, or something's been happening to it there, Rob, because they're putting the mineral water frantically back in. The outfit was late back. Does that mean presumably they've been a bit late on preparation for this round?
Very, very much so indeed. And insult to injury, the outfit was so seriously damaged and indeed twisted in that horrendous topsy-turvy crash in Australia. And as I say, insult to injury, because the outfit, as I say, arrived back later than expected. And then what had happened, the freight company that had been forklifting and manoeuvring the outfit back in its semi-crated condition from Australia had increased the damage to the outfit. One of the forklift handles had gone through the packing of the outfit and additionally damaged the outfit. It had increased the considerable damage already done to it with that crash in Australia, and so we've got a scenario where the outfit's back late, it's damaged additionally from being handled, or should I say mishandled, by the freight company, and driver and passenger of course battered and bruised from the accident itself. And the team driver Ian Guy said, the team of people around me, they're a fantastic bunch of people. We've had endless problems so far this year, but we've got a great working atmosphere anyway in the team, so we've all pulled together and that's pulled us through. But then they got to Donington Park and have been working 25-hour days, if they won't mind me saying, but they are confident that all that effort will pay off, and they'll be able to get back out there on track. But as you said, Jack, it's not necessarily too good a sign if they're already having to put coolant back in the engine, and we've just had, well, it's
2 laps,
just 2.5 laps of the race. But Andy Peach, co-driver, wishing that they'd had a few more days before they'd had to come to Donington Park, and they'd be able to just fine-tune preparation to the machine before they had to load up again, reload, and then transport to the circuit. So it's fair to say, been working against the clock, but they're here and they're putting coolant in the outfit, and we hope that come the restart they'll be up there in the big points.
Well, good news for them is that the second attempt at this race is only going to be an 18-lapper, so they've got 5 laps less in which to survive, and the Molyneux Peter Hill team seems to be getting its very smart outfit. I beg your pardon, that was someone who was trying to fool me, because it was an Axo blue outfit the Molyneux Hill team had. That was someone getting togged up out in the crowd. It's still a beautiful balmy day out here in Donington Park. It's amazing, isn't it? We go to Australia and have fiendishly horrible weather.
Yes.
Come down the road to Donington Park and it's beautiful. Welcome to Derbyshire, ladies and gentlemen. If you can stand the aircraft sailing at 100 feet above your head as they land at the East Midland Airport, right adjacent to the track. And this, the number 20 outfit that made a really quite a bright start, and that's Hansen and Soers, the French Suzuki squad. A very pretty outfit as well. So we've got an 18-lap rerun of this sidecar race coming up. And quite a lot of the spectators, well, it's a 50-50 job here. Half of them have left their litter behind and scarpered for the exit, and half of them have decided it's such a beautiful day, why not stay stripped off and enjoy it. Someone actually said to me, and I can't remember now who it was today, someone from a foreign clime said, why does every Englishman take off his shirt when the sun comes out? And I said, well, because it's not a rare treat, but because we haven't got predictable weather, it's just great when it's around, so you make full use of it.
Very much so.
And here's Jack Clark himself, and Jack Muldoon himself, rather, the Clark Grand Prix Honda team, in his kilt. He says that nowadays he'll always stick a kilt on to make sure that everyone's aware that they're Scottish. See those carburetors? I don't know anything in particular about those carburetors, but the Mick Boddice Senior, whose son is riding here, his 27-year-old offspring of the same name, says that all they've done, his son's only just moved on to long outfits, the longer chassis outfits as these are, and Mick Boddice, who made quite a bright start to that race, has all they've done to a bog standard outfit, because they were only invited on Thursday. All they've done to that bog standard outfit is change the carburetors and put on a racing pipe. Otherwise it's an 1100cc GSXR Suzuki engine. Plop. And Webster, of course, has a more powerful one than that. He leads the championship, 45 points. Klappenbach and Steinhausen tied in second on 36. 26 for Janssen from the Netherlands. Houtzenberger on the second OKM outfit is the team Klappenbach Suzuki engine. Austrian outfit there is also in the frame. Muldoon is a disappointing 10th at the moment, because remember he had a good series last year and ended up about 6th in the championship, and I beg your pardon, 7th in the championship. No, actually I think he was 6th, wasn't he, because he's riding number 6, do beg his pardon. He claimed that 6th place at the last round, and that was when he had Paul Woodhead as his right hand man. He's now got Chris Gussman. Olympia recent outfit number 8. This is Jörg Steinhausen, who's now repatriated with Christian Patzer. And there he is, young Steinhausen. Good Lord, he does look like his dad. If you grade his hair and put a big thick sort of moustache on him, he'd look remarkably like his father. And Christian Patzer, he's got that resigned, smiley look of an outfit, a man who's ridden with many leading sidecar passengers and knows all about the heartache and the happiness and the joy and the pain of being a sidecar passenger. we're waiting then in this lovely sunshine, and this is the way that they line up. This is your actual Super Pole arrowhead. Webster Woodhead 138.04, Klappenbach and Harney 138.33. Steinhausen Parts are in third place. Now notice Abbott, Biggs, Janssen Hopkinson, Molyneux Hill. All these times look reasonably acceptable till you get to Hanson Swords 154.482. That was the outfit that revolved as it came out of Redgate. They managed to keep it on the tarmac and carried on round somewhat chastened lap, knowing that they were going to end up in 8th place no matter what they did on the grid. There's Mick Boddice with yet another Biggs alongside him, you'll notice. The amazing Biggs family from Chester. Well, there's another Biggs who partners Mick Boddice. They are 14th on the grid ahead of Anke and Legrave, who are regulars. And that Phillips Laidlaw at the back with the flurries. Well, both of those would be male and female outfits, because there indeed is Jane Fleury, the New Zealander with her husband in the outfit, the driver of the outfit. But of course it's not Ruth Laidlaw, because she is still recovering and hoping to be back at Hockenheim with Phillips in the Slipstream Fireblade engined Honda. Okay, back out again. Beautiful, just a beautiful evening this. So the sidecars are going to have another go, restarting at 18 minutes past 5 for an 18, well that's pretty neat, 5:18, 18 laps, for an 18 lap set 2 between the men who fought the championship. About fortune favouring Honda Britain. This Dave Molyneux, Pete Hill outfit, winners of the TT, are back out on track. Whatever the problem was that put them out on lap 1, Rob, they've got it fixed, and let's hope it lasts them this time. They could yet get those points.
Well, I hope so. They've certainly worked hard for it. But, something that we've not mentioned yet was the hot rod stick that's been stuffed in the Hornet's nest, and it concerns Steve Webster and this guy, Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Harney, and touring around the sidecar part of the paddock yesterday, and talking to a handful of people, saying that Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Harney, in recent years, relatively calm and keeping things above board, shall we say, and racing and passing and doing everything as racers should do, and not really doing anything a little bit risque or anything that you might have to answer to afterwards. But after that Australian, David James giving us a smile there, and why shouldn't he, standing next to those two beauties in pits lane. But Klaus Klappenbach, having had to experience that collision with Steve Webster, and about 50% of the people I asked said, yeah, that was a kosher passing manoeuvre, and 50% or so said that never should have happened. But that red-hot stick in the Hornet's nest, that is what I'm talking about. Klaus Klappenbach, a fierce, fiery-eyed character that may well just have opened up that can of worms again, and we could see sparks flying, maybe on the last lap, but maybe a few other laps around this 18-lap race that we're going to be seeing in just about 5 or 10 minutes time when it restarts. Was it 5:18 the scheduled restart? 5:18 the scheduled restart. That's right. So and we'll wait to see what happens with that battle royale. The men at the front, Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead. Steve Webster, OBE, from Easingwold near York. Calm, sane human being with a pair of rather academic-looking spectacles on when he's off the circuit. He was partnered by Tony Hewitt when he won the World Championship in 1987, 1988 and 1989, a hat-trick. He was partnered in 1991 by Gavin Simmons, and then he went into premature retirement. And in fact, Englishman Darren Dixon, with Andy Hetherington in the chair, won the title in 1995 and 96. And then Webster was back on the scene with David James, 1997, 1998, in what was now the FIM World Cup rather than the full-blooded World Championship. And the Sidecar World Cup, well, he's done his double hat-trick and a 7th one to boot. He's now looking for title number 8 with Paul Woodhead in the chair. Woodhead, of course, formerly was on that number 6 outfit with Muldoon, Stuart Muldoon, the Scotsman, who's now got a true Scotsman with him, Angus Stuart Muldoon, his nickname Angus, 26-year-old from Scotland, and Chris Dipstick Gusman, also 26 years old, who's actually an Englishman, who's decided to place his future health in the hands of the mad, grizzled Scot, whose dad, Jack, is the wonderful character who runs the team. And that's the way that things are looking at the moment. That Phillips outfit that actually has Guy Lowe on board has also had some rather splendid company this weekend in the shape of a Page 3 lady
who's been keeping them company. But I wonder if she was hoping for better results than this, or whether she's quite happy no matter what happens, as long as she can display herself around the World Cup sidecar grid. They get warmed up then, ready. Well, they don't need much warming up, actually. I think one of the problems is that the temperatures are running very, very high here, close to 30. And I know that these engines, they take quite a lot of strain, don't they, dragging these outfits and two guys on them at these speeds around the circuits. Perhaps it's not surprising that a few overheating problems result, Rob.
Very much so. The clutches in particular get so much stick, especially now as we've got these 1200cc four-stroke outfits engines, and the power that goes through the clutches are so devastating. And as you say, Jack, you've got the weight of two riders on there, obviously driver and passenger, to go through it. But everything is beefed up proportionally and prepared for the job in hand. And I've mentioned in Australia that the Jörg Steinhausen, a week after Australia, they were going to test out that fuel injection Hayabusa engine. And talking to Rolf Steinhausen, he said that they'd done so much work with that engine on the dyno and got brilliant figures, brilliant power output. By the way, the sleeved down version of the engine, of course, because 1200 is the maximum capacity. But when they got to Hockenheim to do testing, they only managed a few laps before, unfortunately, that engine, or the engine they were running on that day, developed some problems, and so they have had a lot of time in on the dyno, but not much on track. But they did say that the 2 laps they were out on track at Hockenheim, phenomenal power output. But again, in my information hoovering session yesterday, unanimous thoughts from the riders, drivers and passengers out there is there really is only so much power that you can put through the engine, which brings us full circle back to what you said, Jack, that engine parts, they can only stand so much power output. It's got to pull a power unit, a sidecar outfit around, plus 2 guys, and the rear tyre can only take so much stick. So yes, let's try a fuel injected 1200cc Hayabusa engine, but you then first of all have to get a tyre that's going to be able to transmit that power to the track surface.
For 23 laps, or in this case 18, but that's long enough.
Absolutely right.
But it's great to know that at least this restart has benefited a few people, and there the Clark Grand Prix outfit amongst them, because we were down to 10 outfits circulating on the same lap after 3 laps. So we're hoping that the 20 guys on the grid this time around can manage a little more than that. I'm sure they can. Come on, you guys. Let's see, the evening will look quite a bit cooler as well, Robert. You never know, it might be just a fraction less steamy out there, because of course we are cooked up in our wonderful window on the world here, looking to our right up, and I'd forgotten that we have a warm-up lap yet. Here they go, they're on the warm-up lap. And incidentally, the lady who was with the Slipstream World Sidecar racing team on the who are on the back row of the grid here was actually a sport newspaper group, page 3 girl, Kelly Bell, and the photos were actually going to be in the Sunday Sport on race day. So if you got the Sunday Sport this morning, I'm sure you've already enjoyed the Slipstream Honda outfit and the Kelly Bell pics. What they need to do now is move up the grid a bit, but they've had a fair few number of problems during the course of the season so far, of course, besides having that crash with which injured Ruth Laidlaw in South Africa. When he had substitute passenger Gary Partridge at Phillip Island, it had been a big task getting the outfit back into shape after their big crash at Kyalami, and but they were down to using 2 standard Honda Fireblade motors. The logistics and the time just didn't allow a full rebuild of their tuned engine, so they were down on power and top speed. They qualified, they got on the grid, but after 7 laps of the race the clutch was slipping really badly. They were losing ground out of the corners, and they had to call it a day. So that was the fate that awaited them in Australia. Here we are at Donington Park, and things haven't got too much better. They're on the back row of the grid, but let's see how they go on today. We'll be looking probably rather further forward, because of the fact that I really like the idea that a bit of splendid aggravation has been injected into the Steve Webster, Paul Woodhead versus Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Hani affair. Because as you know, I am the Klaus Klappenbach fan, and I'd like to see the Austrian hit back, not exactly in the literal sense if possible. That's a very beautiful blue. I must compliment Molyneux and Hill on that fabulous blue Honda Britain outfit. Beg your pardon, that's the ETC outfit. That wasn't, I don't think that was theirs. It was just another blue outfit. I wonder if the Honda Britain outfit has been allowed back out after not actually being on track at the time that the race was red flagged. Whether you needed to be in the race, there were plenty of people who'd stopped and started again. At this moment in time, I can't see the number 21 outfit out there. Anyway, we'll see what happens when they form up on the grid. Once again, taking it steady as they cruise round here, getting plenty of heat into those tyres. Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead coming down to start at the front. Not starting, well, that's no surprise really, Stafford and Cox, the men whose exploding Suzuki engine as they went into Redgate caused the race to be red flagged in the first place. So not surprisingly, there's no sort of rebuild there. Not started Molyneux Hill. So Molyneux Hill either weren't allowed to start under the regulations, or they simply didn't have their the problem with the Honda Britain machine sorted in time. Number 1, pole position man, Steve Webster. Steve Webster, number 1. That was a nice shot of Steve Webster with Klaus Klappenbach hovering threateningly over his left shoulder. It's an 18-lap race, and this is going to be the second start for the sidecars pouring down to Redgate. It's a slightly emptier looking grid. We have a 2-man second row to the grid. We have a 2-man third row to the grid because we've lost Molyneux and Hill on their Honda. Watch the lights. To green. Power down, and this time Klappenbach makes a beeline for the inside to make sure that Steinhausen doesn't get through inside him. Knowing that he probably won't make it as far as Webster, at least he knows he's secure in second place. And Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs once more coming round the outside on that green and silver outfit. Steinhausen is in 4th place behind Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs, but the men at the front are the men you expect it to be. And look at the daylight underneath Adolf Harney's chair wheel there as they go down through the Craner curves and then sling it left. And that's through the old hairpin. Daylight once again as they go up onto Starkey's and up towards McLean's. These projectiles were lapping as fast as 1:38 during qualifying. I wonder what they'll manage during racing. It's been noticeable that times have been a bit slower today than they were during qualifying. Whether that's because everything has simply got too hot, I don't know. It's strange, the times seem to go down when things get extremely cool, and they even go down when things get extremely hot. I suppose we need an ideal temperature around here, Rob.
Yeah, that's right. With temperatures increasing, then you're looking to is that Klappenbach outfit looking for the inside at the
bit early in the race.
Bit early, but I did suggest earlier on that this could be interpreted as a continuation of the epic battle that we saw in Australia. But to answer the question on tyre choice, with the ambient temperature being so much more than anybody expected, we hoped for this weather in Australia, but the track surface temperature is always worth about another 10 or 12 degrees. You've got to then run to a slightly harder compound tyre, and as you say, Jack, that does equate to the fact that the race pace and lap times are a lot slower than in qualifying in arguably slightly cooler conditions.
The leader then at the end of the first lap is Steve Webster with Paul Woodhead on board. Second place, Klappenbach and Harney. Third place, Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs. Fourth place, York Steinhausen. Fifth place, Hansen. And sixth place is the Tom Hanks outfit. Tom Hanks, who's riding the number 22 outfit with Phil Biggs in the chair. The Hanks Racing Yamaha engine outfit. They're in sixth place, and would you believe it, there's yet another Biggs, because there's a Biggs partnering Mick Boddice Jr. and they are 13th as they go across the line at the end of the first lap. So there's a triplicate Big. Oh, look at Adolf Harney. I used to think he was doing that because he was on a stroker last year, but he does it the same thing on this big Suzuki engine outfit, Rob.
That's right, because the weight transference of the outfit complete with passenger means that the passenger wheel is just skipping the top of the grass or rumble strip, or worse, as we saw again, that was case in point. It means that you can put the passenger wheel over on the rough stuff because there's no down weight, because the passenger is compensating for that. That helps you to straighten the corner out a little bit more.
Steinhausen and Parter dive underneath Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs, because they're really becoming more of a threat on the second, obviously inspired by team leader Stevie Webster. He's getting quicker, that young man Steinhausen, and as they dive into the Melbourne hairpin, and look at that OKM outfit when he gets it sideways on the right-handers. It's a spectacular sight. And this man Klappenbach looking like he means business. Well, this rerun has got him where he wants to be, Rob. He had a bit too much tarmac between him and Webster first time out. He hasn't got that excuse this time. Look at the sideways outfit in the rumble strip, the rumble strip coming out of Goddard's there. And the outfits now, there's about 7 of them have made a breakaway as they hit the concrete dust going into Redgate. Fastest lap already for Jörg Steinhausen and Christian Parzer, 1:40.788 on lap 2 on the second of those Steinhausen Suzuki outfits. Wow, that's a great shot of them disappearing down the hill.
But it is fair to say we saw Steve Abbott being passed fairly easily by Jörg Steinhausen, and even though Steve Abbott is staying contention, that Steve Abbott's giving away 200cc. He's only got a Yamaha 1000 engine in there, so he'll make it on the brakes but lose it up the hill.
Webster leads, Klappenbach second, Steinhausen third, and Steinhausen at the moment, it's, if anything, he's bothering Klappenbach rather than Klappenbach bothering Webster. So Webster just seems to have that little bit of extra pace here round the circuit at Donington Park. I don't know whether the pursuers can do anything about it.
Well, the thing is, Steve Webster obviously leading the race from the front. He is, and it's a psychological thing that's worth mentioning. You've got clear track in front of you, so you are racing the track. What I mean by that is you're taking or at least more of an ideal racing line. You're wide on your entrance into the corner, and we just see the passing manoeuvre as we come into the old hairpin, the downhill section there, and downfield. Quite a clean manoeuvre, get the run, keep the momentum going and pass on the inside. But Steve Webster able to race the track. He's on the ideal racing line. He knows from his lap boards that he's already got a fair old lead on Klappenbach Harney. In fact, 1.566 lead. I don't think that'll last too long because Klappenbach is closing onto the back wheel of Steve Webster, but Jörg Steinhausen in third place is just 0.5 of a second behind Klaus Klappenbach. So Klappenbach, he has to use a different kind of mindset as in that instance. What I mean by that is he has to ride that little bit of defensively, and on a corner that we've just seen there, the old hairpin, just has to stay about mid-track and make sure that Jörg Steinhausen can't come through. But I did say that Klappenbach is closing up onto the back wheel of Steve Webster, and he has in fact pulled about a second on the chasing Jörg Steinhausen. So equally, Klaus Klappenbach can race the track and stay on the ideal racing line, and that net effect should see him within about another lap and a half, or maybe 2 laps at the most, get onto the back wheel of Steve Webster. And we're looking at top speeds at the moment. Steve Webster 216 kilometres. Klappenbach, he is enjoying a little bit of slipstream effect, and so he was about 5k faster. But we're looking there at the number 3 outfit of Steve Abbott with Jamie Biggs in the saddle, in the passenger I should say, and that Yamaha 1000 engine, it is in fact giving away 1200cc to the larger capacity Suzuki engines. And Steve was saying that he loses out coming out of the slower mid-corner speed corners around Donington Park, but it is actually a lighter outfit. So Steve Abbott, no stranger to braking very, very late. He can make up a little bit, and he's staying in contention with Jörg Steinhausen. Currently in 4th place is Steve Abbott.
And this is the Clark Grand Prix team of Muldoon and Gusman diving inside that number 10 outfit of Patrick Honke and Pascal Legraev. Good move from him. And this is interestingly different from last year, of course, when we had a completely topsy-turvy race, when this guy Steve Webster snapped a chain, when Klappenbach and Harney only scored 5 points. It's amazing how much they've improved in the 12 months since. And the guys in second place, the guy in second place was Benny Janssen with his then passenger Frans Gertz van Kessel, the guy who got injured subsequently at Albacete. And we waved bye-bye to Janssen for the rest of the series. So Janssen finished in second place. And third place, another guy we've sadly lost, Markus Schlosser, with his partner Hauser, the Swiss pairing. They were in third place. So it was Stevie Abbott's first ever victory after about 130 starts in World Sidecar Championship competition. And they, at the present, is in 4th place. But we're looking at the battle, the all really Austro-German battle, taking place with a little Swiss interest between the Limper Riesen Steinhausen Racing number 2 outfit of Jörg Steinhausen and Klappenbach and Harney in outfit number 2, the OKM outfit. Meanwhile, at the front, with that remarkably nice sort of Union Jack emblazoned all over the rear fender of his 1200cc Suzuki outfit, this is Steve Webster looking mean. And there's even time for new passenger Paul Woodhead to have a quick look over his shoulder in the Melbourne Loop and check whether he can see the opposition. And as he surges across the line, he knows that 2.7 seconds now separate them from Klaus Klappenbach and Steinhausen and Christian Parzer. Further back, we may have lost Stevie Abbott. I think Stevie Abbott's gone. He has. Or is that him a little further back in the green outfit? Yes, Abbott back to 7th place. So it could be that just he's had a big moment. And look at that, Biggs and Biggs together. So the Hanks Biggs outfit in front of the Abbott Biggs outfit, back in 6th and 7th places. Houtenberger and Madaras on the 2nd of the OKM outfits there, just ahead of Ian Guy and Peach, Hanke and Legrave. And Bodis and Biggs up to 13th place, despite the extreme lack of experience of the 27-year-old son of former TT winner Mick Bodis. Fastest lap, Webster and Woodhead. Having set the fastest lap on a clear track now, Steve Webster is pulling away at the front, and Klappenbach is still working hard to keep the air that he wants between him and the second of those Steinhausen outfits. Jörg Steinhausen, who's actually will be 30 years old in a couple of weeks' time, comes from Numbrecht in Germany, and was although he was a relatively late starter in the sidecar life, he obviously had learned a lot from his dad, who was a double world champion back in the 70s, because he was the German champion in 1997 and 98, European champion also in 98, and 13th in the Sidecar World Championship, World Cup in 1998, improving to 9th place last year. So an impressive performance, or it might even have been 8th place. An impressive performance then, Steinhausen. That was with Schmidt, of course, last year, but Franz Schmidt has packed in, and Christian Parzer, who's an Austrian who's partnered various of the top sidecar men, took over in the chair.
Just temporarily on Friday, I was able to take over the chair with
Rob, I was about to ask you about this. As we got the close-up there, I was thinking, I wonder how long it takes to get used to a new sidecar passenger. These guys are obviously real all-rounders. Paul Woodhead, of course, had worked with the Clark Grand Prix outfit, and Mr. Rob Orme here actually took over as the new passenger for Steve Webster on Friday evening. Had a rip round 4 or 5 laps worth of Donington Park, and as we head around Coppice and out onto the straight, I'd like to hear your first-hand version of what it's like doing a lap here. Take us through it, Mr. Orme.
Okay, the watchword now is, as we're seeing now, get your head tucked right down and anticipate the braking point for Steve Webster, down through the gearbox and into second gear for the left-right Fogarty S's, hanging onto the side of the sidecar there as the dramatic, devastating extension, and Steve Webster was doing that, waiting for my thumb to go up, and that meant go faster please Steve, and then get all the weight over your back wheel for the second gear right-hander at the Melbourne Head.
Were you hanging up that far?
Not quite that far. I was leaning over, but I'm only a wee fella, don't forget, up through the gearbox and then hard on the brakes. Take the weight on your shoulders, because the braking force on there actually lifts you out of the passenger sidecar well there, and then hanging again onto the main support in the middle of the sidecar there as Steve accelerates out of the corner, and again get the weight over the back wheel and into Redgate corner. It is such G-forces, but the positioning of your body over the rear tyre under acceleration is absolutely vital to keep the amount of wheel spin to a minimum as possible. Right. We got a bit of drizzle on Friday evening whilst we were doing some laps, but Steve was still getting a phenomenal amount of spin as we were exiting the corners, and so as we went quicker, I did try to get more weight over the rear wheel.
And there's the sad sight, if I just briefly interrupt, past Patrick Hanke and Pascal Legrave, who were lying in 11th place, throwing up their arms in disbelief and dismay, and the marshals in their day-glow orange saying, get out of the way son, we can't leave you hanging around out there munching grass. So Steve, back with you, back with the battle for second place. You've got a sort of a very sturdy handle slap bang in the middle of the outfit, amidships there, which apparently you have to keep hold of at all times.
Yes, your left hand must never let go of that main support, stay just about in line with the radiator that we can see on a front-on shot. Just there, his left hand, Adolf Harney's left hand is on that main support. That, no matter which way you're leaning on the outfit, you always keep hold of that, or else that was for different reasons in Australia, but the net effect is you're bouncing down the track with the outfit moving off into the distance.
Want some more grass cutting.
But I do need to give my boots a little bit of attention, because as you can see, Adolf Harney, particularly on the right-handers, your feet are dangling ominously over the edge of the sidecar, and my toes were skimming the surface of the track as we were skimming along, flying around the racetrack. So it's just such a different experience to anything I've ever felt, certainly in riding a solo. But you can see there that the amount of leaning that Christian Partzer is having to do, keep the weight over that rear wheel, get the maximum drive and the slingshot effect as you're coming out of all the corners, bar none.
Wonderful. I can foresee, ladies and gentlemen, a new career opening up for Mr. Robbie Orme, because he is, of course, approaching the age of a true sidecar competitor. He must be knocking on 40 now, then that life begins at, and certainly sidecar racing quite often begins at. We've got 44, 45-year-old tearaways like in... well, although this partnership is fairly youthful, the people in second place there, Adolf Harney there, number 2, he's at least 44 years old now. So Rob, there's plenty of time for you to develop. You've obviously got a fair number of the skills together. I'll have to check with Webber whether he thinks you've got what it takes.
Well, I had to make a few adjustments to my riding gear. I mean, thanks goes out to Steve Webster for not going at full pace. 2/3 was quite enough, thank you.
Steve Webster leads. Second place, is he getting used to it yet? Well, second in the World Sidecar Cup for 2 successive years for Klaus Klappenbach, and he's second in the championship at the moment, but of course he's level pegging in that championship. And there is Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs. They are out of the race and looking, well, their team not looking too thrilled with that, as you might expect. So that's the R1 Yamaha engined outfit of local boy Stevie Abbott, and Cheshireman Jamie Biggs goes out. There are still, of course, 2 more Biggses in the race. We've got Tom Hanks with a Biggs in 6th place. We've got Mick Boddice with a Biggs in 11th place.
That's actually a 1000X up engine, not quite as technically adept as the R1. But Steve was saying that whilst they were happy in qualifying, you don't know what can happen, mate. He says anything can go wrong. We think we've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, but you never know what might go wrong. He said that
this is Benny Jansen and Trevor Hopkinson who finished. Jansen finished second with Franz Kurtz van Kessel last year. So the fact that they're presently lying, well, they're in 4th place, but unfortunately about 12 seconds behind 3rd place Steinhausen. But it's amazing how some people take to a track. It's obviously for Benny Jansen. This is a track he likes, a track he can get round well. He's got his outfit nicely set up for it, and it looks like a circuit that you can really enjoy as a sidecar rider. But you've obviously, as a sidecar driver, you've obviously found you can really enjoy it as a sidecar passenger.
Very much so. Dramatic experience as a sidecar passenger. Your forearms particularly, take a lot of stick from the phenomenal braking part of the circuit, which
especially coming down here, presumably.
That's right,
yeah.
Braking into the Fogarty S's at this point now. The hard on the brakes, and you're taking the full weight of your body. Your knees are actually 2 inches off the pan of the sidecar outfit, and you're taking all the effort on your forearms and as much as you can on the shoulders, and to keep yourself in the well at all. I was talking about adjustments that I had to make to myself, and also to leathers. A big thanks to Martin Thraves at Carrera Leathers. He let out my leathers so that they'd fit round me. I put on a little bit of ballast since I was a wee 125 racer, so good on you, Martin, you did a fine job. But I think these passengers in the outfits are supremely fit. Their energy, their strength, their stamina is just arguably at least as much as, if not more, than the solo racers. They probably have to train as much as the motocross lads for the stamina and strength.
A fastest lap from Klaus Klappenbach to Albert Harney. Now that opens up an interesting possibility, because if 1:39.234, if those guys can keep that sort of pace going, and there is the number 22 outfit of Tom Hanks and Phil Biggs, the Hans Racing Yamaha, and they are presently in 6th place and getting plenty of clacks and support from the crowd as they plunge downhill through Hollywood and Craner curves. It's a great descent, that. I love watching that. And then hard down into, they tend, if anything, to take a wider line than the solos into the Melbourne hairpin, Rob.
Yes, well, they are allowing for the fact that once they get into the corner, the driver can just tug on the steering a little bit and just get the back end of the outfit to just squirm around a little bit and point the outfit in the direction it wants to go without scrubbing off too much momentum, so the corner speed, the net effect is the corner speed is higher.
Right.
As you would do perhaps in a kart racing, you tug the steering wheel and the back end slips around whilst maintaining the revs and momentum. So it's a similar sort of principle. But I haven't yet driven a sidecar outfit, so perhaps I should speak to Steve Webster. And he might trust me and allow me to drive his, although it's not likely to be till the end of the season.
This is the Clark Grand Prix outfit. Stuart Angus Muldoon. He's the man in the driving seat, and Chris Dipstick Gusman. This is the team for having lost his sidecar passenger to reigning champion Steve Webster. And look at the last three gaps. From 3.375, that gap has been reduced to 1.213 seconds between this man, Stevie Webster, and that man, Klaus Klappenbach, who's dipped down again beneath 1 minute 40. He's the man who's breaking the 1 minute 40 barrier. Steve Webster was down to a 1:39.293 on lap 5, Rob. Now we're on to lap 11. He's up to a 1:40.438, and the gap is closing.
But even Steve Webster's fastest lap was still about 1.2 seconds slower than his pole position time. So these prevailing weather conditions being so much hotter, it's knocked a good second plus off their quickest lap times.
Steve Webster still has the lead in the Sidecar World Cup at Donington Park, round 3. But look how close Klaus Klappenbach and the OKM Klappenbach racing machine is now. Very, very close as they hurtle down into the Melbourne heaven. He's wasting no time. He's going for the inside, and he forces Steve Webster wide. Webster tries to retaliate up the inside straight away. Has he got the power to do it? Is he fooling? Is he sandbagging? Is he hanging back? We've had 11 laps. We're about to complete 12, and Webster goes for the inside. Klaus Klappenbach knows what Webster is capable of. When the gap was there, even though he was riding on a great sea of stones, he went for the inside on the last lap and hit Klappenbach in Phillip Island. Klappenbach still hasn't got over the memory of that. As far as he's concerned, he's out here to stuff Webster and win. Well, right now he's done that. He's done it cleanly, and he's taking off down through Craner curves. He's got the lead.
That then gave Klaus Klappenbach the fastest lap of the race so far. He just did a 1:39.140, just on the lap that he took the lead over from Steve Webster. But looking at Webbo as they were on the brakes down to the Melbourne hairpin, Steve Webster looked across and saw that Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Harney had got the racing line, that they were going through the inside, and it was a pointless exercise for Steve Webster to try and pull across and block that manoeuvre of Klaus Klappenbach. We all know what would have happened. Steve Webster now will be regrouping, shall we say. He is in range for the slipstream effect as we're coming round the double apex right-hander at Coppice onto the back straight. So Steve Webster just about able to feel the pulling effect of the slipstream from the leading OKM outfit. Steve Webster will stalk the outfit now, Klaus Klappenbach, and wait to see if he can pull up there without too much danger. But again, Steve Webster, a good tactician, knows that in a championship race that there is a 9-point lead. Steve Webster has got a 9-point lead out of Klaus Klappenbach. If Claffey wins this race, that will be reduced down, but Steve Webster, if he finishes second, will still have a 4 points lead in the championship. And so if Steve can't safely pull up to the back wheels Klaus Klappenbach and go for the race win, then, well, not so good, but he'll still be leading the championship. So we've got we're on lap 12 now of
and the Clark
race.
Grand Prix outfit, the number 7 Clark Grand Prix outfit, that's the Brian Gray. The Grey Pointer outfit is out. I beg your pardon, Rob. I was revving up then because for a second I thought it was a number 6 outfit of Muldoon that had gone out, but no, it's Brian Gray, who's well, looking just a little bit put out about that, and I'm not surprised. What I was rather expecting that Claffey would take off, and having said that, suddenly while we've been watching Brian Gray, he has opened up a bit of a gap, but he hadn't as they went across the line past us at the end of the last lap, Rob. It looks as if Webbo was going to be able to hang on, but I've got a feeling that Claffey's, whether it's the machine or the tyres, are just working that little bit better in that stage of the race, and he just seems to have opened up a bit of a gap. And every time I say that, the gap suddenly looks smaller.
It's quite deceptive from that run from McLean's up to Coppice Corner, because it's the dip in the track as well, so that's a bit of an optical effect. But you're quite right, Claffey has got now such a lead that it's
1:39.1. That was the fastest.
That's right.
That's the fastest lap so far of the race. On lap 11.
Got a significant lead, so that on that particular lap, Steve Webster was no longer feeling the pulling effect of the slipstream. So Steve Webster, whatever he does now, he's doing on his own merits and on the strength of his Steinhausen outfit. And so Steve Webster, he's got around about just over 5 laps in order to pull back what we think is more like 1.6 or 1.7 seconds. So Claffey's gone by, as we saw about a lap ago, and he's trying to break Steve Webster's back, so to speak, and pull away so that Webbo won't fight back. But we'll watch to see what the gap is as they come over the start-finish line now, and it's grown to 3 seconds. So Steve Webster is 3 seconds off the back of Klaus Klappenbach, and we've got 4 laps to go. So it's a real uphill titanic battle. I think that strategy and discretion being slightly that better part of valour, Webbo will look to consolidate second position in this race, but maintain his championship lead.
He's got a gap of 4.8 seconds over his teammate Jörg Steinhausen, but remember, Steinhausen's involved with in a battle for championship honours himself, so there's not going to be any team orders there, as the number 6 outfit of Muldoon and Gusman is battling to stay ahead of the number 20 outfit of Victor Hansen and Tony Soers, the Hansen Racing outfit, and look, just in front of them, number 22 Tom Hanks and Phil Biggs, the Hanks Racing Yamaha. So some great action going on amongst the British boys here, and that's Tom Hanks, of course, a guest rider really in the World Cup, a wild card here at Donington Park, and he's got the regular British campaigners Muldoon and Gusman for company. Muldoon and Gusman down in 10th place in the championship. They haven't had a very good start to the series. They've got 10 points in South Africa. They got nothing in Australia, and they'd deeply like to put that to right, and I think they'd deeply like to get past Tom Hanks as well. At the moment, these guys are lying in 6th place. Tom Hanks is 5th ahead of them. And look at that, FTC Hanks Racing Yamaha. Oh, and Muldoon is obviously desperately trying to find a way through as they snake through McLean's. The battle for 5th place here at Donington Park in the Sidecar World Cup. Tom Hanks, number 22 outfit with Phil Biggs in the chair, ahead of the number 6 outfit of Stuart Angus Muldoon and Chris Dipstick Gusman. And who's going to get it? Because this is a great battle going on. The guys from the Clark Grand Prix team, who remember were having overheating problems right at the beginning of the first attempt at running this race, they slide down the inside, and Tom Hanks left the barn door open, and Muldoon said, thanks very much, I'm on my way through. So Angus sneaks through into 5th place, and instantly Tom Hanks thinks about retaliating into Goddard's, but decides, thinks better of it. No, perhaps I can't quite fit. You need a bit more space than that. I am not a solo machine. As they scream across the start and finish line now with 3 laps to go. They're passing our commentary position, and they're throwing it right into Redgate. Klaus Klappenbach at the front has a 4.8 second advantage over Stevie Webster, and Webster in turn has a exactly 4 second advantage over his teammate Jörg Steinhausen, and Benny Janssen all on his own. He is in 4th place, and 5th and 6th place are these guys, Stuart Muldoon and Tom Hanks, battling it out. It looks as if Muldoon's got this one won. I don't know whether Muldoon's got any possibility of actually making any inroads into Benny Janssen's lead on him. It looks like he's pretty much on his own, but he's certainly looking crisp. As the outfit, I love the way the outfit sort of bite chunks out of the corners. There's no sort of predictable radius about the way they go through them. But did it feel like that when you're in the chair, Rob?
Very much so. It feels worse than that because you're actually in there experiencing the G-forces and the sliding around. But it was good to see that Stuart Muldoon through McLean's corner then was cleanly through, because on that previous lap when he was battling with Tom Hanks in the 22, he actually hit the rumble strip with his front wheel, and that really set the outfit wobbling and shaking aggressively to one side, and that through McLean's corner is something you can't really afford to do. If you go out too wide at that particular corner, it's off onto the grass and spinning around. But the number 6 outfit, Muldoon, was able to keep it on track and cleanly around this time.
Klaus Klappenbach, he's beginning to look an experienced and wise rider, isn't he, Klaus Klappenbach? He's now 30 years old, comes from Greiskirchen in Austria, made his racing debut way back in 1988, and remember, he was 3rd in the World Sidecar Championship as far ago as 1992, behind Rolf Bieland and Kurt Waltersberg, the Swiss duo. Bieland, of course, 82 World Championship race wins, far and away ahead of the just into 40 odd race wins of Stevie Webster. And this man has been on the fringe of honours for a long time. This could be the year he's really going to challenge. Adolf Hani, gentleman as always, waves to the 32 outfit of Galros and Simmons for moving over. Adolf Hani, well, he's won Swiss championships. He's raced with 17 different riders. He's won Swiss championships, British Championships, German Championships, European Championships. He's been second in the Sidecar World Championship twice, in 1994 and in 1998. So he too, at the age of 44, certainly deserves at least the sniff of a World Sidecar Championship once again. In fact, I beg your pardon, he's finished second 3 times, because he was second also in 1999, last year's going down to the wire against Webber and David James, and still riding as if he's on the limit. Great to watch, with Webster 5 seconds behind him, Claffey and Harney heading for victory here at Donington Park. And I know you get fed up with me saying it, but me speaking as the Klappenbach fan here in the UK, obviously pretty delighted to see it happening. He's always so exhilarating to watch, and it's good. I was concerned about them packing in, because they did threaten, didn't they, at one stage, that they weren't going to move on to a 4-stroke Rob. They were going to wave bye-bye to the sport, and then suddenly they show up with a Suzuki engine and go just as quick. And
immediately well sorted. We spoke about this in Australia. Immediately on the pace, Steve Webster pulled a bit of a wry face just how quick they were on the pace with that outfit. So, but it's good for the sport. It makes sidecar racing attractive, exciting. I don't know if we're ever going to be as thrilled as we were in Australia and out of our seats, but
we will. You just wait till these boys are slipstreaming their way around the courses we've got to come, like Monza next weekend, of course, when we'll be there on Eurosport, bringing you all the action from World Supersports, World Superbikes and World Sidecar Cup. And as the Klappenbach and Harney head up ahead of the number 34 outfit of Mick Boddice, and Boddice and Biggs, in fact, have just been lapped, even though they're lying in 11th place. Across the finishing line, then the checkered flag goes out, and that's a delighted Adolf Harney, and he has every reason to be. That's great retaliation. That's the sort of clean, convincing retaliation they needed after the incident that threw him out of the chair on the last lap in Phillip Island. Adolf Harney will be well thrilled with that. So the OKM outfit comes across the line to win here in Donington Park. And that's a huge improvement. 25 points this time around. 12 months ago it was just 5 points. And that in itself an indication of how quickly and fruitfully they've adapted to the Suzuki engine 4-stroke outfit.
Well, the victory then for Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Harney, that with 25 points, and Steve Webster taking second place and 20 points. That then reduces down the championship lead for Steve Webster. Beaten on home ground, so as you say, Jack, that will have had a calming effect. But Steve Webster still leads the championship, but this not now by 9 points, a modest 4 points. Some drama in pits lane now.
There's some drama in pits lane. Well. I think that, on the verge of greater things, but thankfully the cameraman chose to move on before the leather started to come off and get back to the real heroes of the hour. Klaus Klappenbach, Adolf Harney, the mustachioed Swiss who looks like a very cheerful version of Lord Kitchener on the Your Country Needs You World War I poster. And behind him, incidentally, hats off to Jörg Steinhausen. He's definitely getting closer to team leader Steve Webster. He finished just 3.5 seconds behind him in that race. And that a very, very fair showing indeed from the relatively inexperienced Steinhausen over the vastly inexperienced 40-year-old. Is Steve Webster 40 yet? I think he is, isn't he? The vastly experienced Steve Webster. 7 times, a mere 7 times world champion. Number 2. Klaus Klappenbach and Adolf Harney are the winners here at Donington Park on a beautiful evening. And Adolf Harney, who was just such a cheerful, even when they've had a result, not such a good result, he's always so supportive of Klappenbach, always doing everything he can to keep the Austrian in good spirits and on the up. Klappenbach wins it then. Webster and Woodhead are second. Steinhausen and Parts are third. Janssen and Hopkinson in fourth place. Muldoon, Gusman, a very fine fifth, having just snook past Tom Hanks and Phil Biggs in the closing stages on that Yamaha engine. So Suzuki BRM, ADM and Yamaha are all featuring in that top 6. Behind them we've got Guy and Peach, Hautzenberger and Madaras on the second of the Klappenbach OKM Racing Suzukis. Hansen and Soers in 9th place. 10th place the Van Giels squad from the Netherlands, and the first people to be lacked, Mick Boddice and Biggs, and Galros and Simmons, the Swiss outfit, in 12th place. Phillips with new side at least finished the race. Well, did he finish the race actually? 5 laps down. Sounds rather a lot. Perhaps he didn't finish the race with his new passenger, but he'll get there in the end. He might even be awarded a few points. No, not classified. We've got him not classified. The Flurries get the last points in 14th place, just 1 lap down. So that was the Sidecar World Cup, and this is the result of it. It's very tight. Monza's going to be interesting. Webster on 65, Klappenbach 61. Steinhausen very much in the picture on 52. Janssen 39, Hautzenberger 29, Muldoon 21. At least springs 4 places in the championship past Brian Gray, his Clark Grand Prix teammate, who went out of that race, and that meant that he lost his position in the championship to his teammate. Well, there's no one better to lose it to than your teammate. But we look forward to Monza and the next episode in the Klappenbach versus Webster feud. I'm Jack Burnick, alongside me Rob Orme. Goodbye from us here at Donington Park. See you at Monza.
Well, it's been a massive day of bikes so far, and there's still more to come. We do have highlights from the Super Sport race to follow the Sidecar World Championship that you have just watched. And that means, of course, Jamie Whittam, the current World Championship leader, and that is coming up after the break.